I have used this headline a million times on Slog, the Stranger's blog, where I blog every day. Whenever I write about the current Pope Emeritus, the ex-Pope, the most recent Pope, the first Pope to retire in 600 or 700 years of Catholic history, whenever I write about him, I affectionately use this in the headline on my blog. That motherfucking power-hungry, self-aggrandized bigot in the stupid fucking hat joins Twitter. That was one of the headlines that I used. And then when the Pope announced he was retiring, I, of course, headlined that post. That motherfucking power-hungry, self-aggrandized bigot in the stupid fucking hat retires. And the good folks at Newsbusters and then Bill Donahue at the Catholic League exploded right on cue. You know what? If you just want to see Bill Donahue at the Catholic League dance, just give him a call and say, that motherfucking power-hungry, self-aggrandized bigot in the stupid fucking hat. Watch him explode. Watch him do his little bigot dance, because he will. They kind of blew up at me because I'm an anti-Catholic bigot, and look at what I said, look at what I said. And of course, every time they do this, and it happens every time I headline a post that way, I have to go on Twitter, and I have to go on my blog, and I have to point out, I have to give credit, again, to the genius that is Tim Minchin, who actually wrote that line. It's a lyric from his song, The Pope Song. And if you haven't heard the Pope Song, you really need to stop listening to the podcast right now for just a minute and go to YouTube and look up just Pope Song. You just go to Google and put in Pope Song, and up pops Tim Minchin's Pope Song, and it is genius. And in it, he calls the Pope that motherfucking power-hungry, self-aggrandized bigot in the stupid fucking hat. And it's really fucking funny. And it's a song that comes from a place of real anger about the Pope covering up for child rapists. When you cover up for people who are raping children, when you enable child rape, when you are basically an unindicted co-conspirator to mass child rape, people get mad at you. And they will call you things like that motherfucking power-hungry, self-aggrandized bigot in the stupid fucking hat, right? Anyway, I was thinking about the Catholics this week because I'm in trouble with the Catholics, and Bill Donahue put out a press release called Dan Savage, Savage's Pope. Did you catch that? Savage, Savages? That was really clever. I've never heard that before. In his press release, he delivers to me, he serves me the worst insult that a Catholic bigot can possibly throw at another man. He calls me a name that to a Catholic man like Bill Donahue is the worst thing you can call another Catholic man. He calls me a woman. Donahue complains that I was invited to a White House reception for homosexuals. And I said in my post about it that I arrived with my husband. Would that make Dan Savage the guy's wife? Because he can't be a husband without a wife, or a wife without a husband in Bill Donahue's fevered imaginations. But, oh, he said I had a vagina. Is there a worse insult in Bill Donahue's mind? No. Anyway, I was thinking about the Catholics, of course, because the Pope retired. That self-aggrandized motherfucker retired, which hasn't happened in a long time. And right now, there is no Pope. Right now, we are Popeless. They're meeting in the Sistine Chapel. The cardinals, the princes of the church, they're all meeting, save one. Cardinal Keith O'Brien, the highest-ranking Catholic official in the United Kingdom, it ain't there. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard of Cardinal Keith O'Brien. He's sort of not very nice to gay people. He has described us as captives of sexual aberrations. He has said that same-sex relationships are harmful to the medical, emotional, and spiritual well-being of those involved. No compassionate society would ever enact legislation to facilitate or promote such relationships. Blah, blah, blah. He's gone on and on and on. He's a big fucking Catholic gay basher. Another self-aggrandized stupid fucking bigot in a stupid fucking hat. And a couple of years ago, Stonewall, which is the big gay rights org in the United Kingdom, awarded him with their Bigot of the Year prize. And there was some hubbub about whether that was rude, whether the gays were being rude to the nice cardinal who said that we are captives of sexual aberrations and that society should do nothing that might facilitate our relationships, like, say, perhaps refrain from burning us at the stake, which they used to do. Anyway, regular listeners, you know where this is going. Cardinal Keith O'Brien is not in Rome helping pick the next stupid fucking self-aggrandized bigot in the stupid fucking hat, because 4 people came forward to accuse him of sexual improprieties. 4 men, 4 adult men. And he was out so fast, in part because these just weren't the usual pickings. These people that Cardinal Keith O'Brien is alleged to have exploited sexually, alleged to have had improper relationships with. They were other priests. that he had preyed upon when they were seminarians and they were deacons and they were young priests, allegedly. And so Cardinal Keith O'Brien is out. He had to retire, resign. He's not allowed to help pick the next pope because, unlike Cardinal Mahoney from Los Angeles, who evidence has come out, documents released in the last month, was covering up for and moving around priests who were raping little boys and little girls and making it possible for them to rape and rape and rape again and shielding them from law enforcement, intentionally advising them to stay out of California so they would not be arrested, moving those motherfuckers around. That motherfucker, Cardinal Mahoney, is in Rome picking the next pope. Because what he did is fine, because that's child rape, and child rape is cool. Cardinal O'Brien preyed on priests, preyed on adult men, exploited his power and his authority and preyed upon them. And apparently that's not okay. So Cardinal O'Brien, he violated the cardinal rule, I guess, of sexual exploitative relationships in the Catholic Church and fucked priests. Not okay, you're going to get bounced. Fuck a little boy, you'll get moved around and we'll make it possible if you fuck another one. Rape another one. That's okay. Anyway, if Bill Donahue is listening, and pretty much any time I say that motherfucking power-hungry, self-aggrandized bigot in the stupid fucking hat, Bill Donahue appears before me. So I assume he's listening, because I've said it like 14 or 15 times at this point. If Bill Donahue's listening, I wanted to draw his attention to another headline that I've written that he might want to shit out a press release about and maybe call me a woman for writing. There was a story in the Washington Post about the fallout from Cardinal Keith O'Brien's resignation. He had also decried a tyranny of tolerance, called gay marriage grotesque, and said no secular government had the moral authority to legalize such unions. Of course this guy's a faggot, right? Of course any dude who spends this much time beating up, condemning, attacking, worrying about some other dude marrying some other dude. We've seen this script a million times. The high-profile bigot, guess what? The high-profile anti-gay bigot is a gay fucking closeted mess. Anyway, the Washington Post had a story about O'Brien, and it wrote that it was contributing to the crisis of Catholicism in Europe. Thousands of Europeans abandoning the faith. The nature of the allegations against O'Brien has already led others to call them, if proved true, an example of the kind of hypocrisy that is eroding the Church's influence, particularly on the globe's most socially liberal continent, Europe. Fresh scandal now, observers say, could undermine the Church's current battle to restore its voice in the region, which it has waged by rallying against a bevy of liberal causes from legalized abortion in Ireland to gay marriage in France. So Bill Donahue, if you're listening, and I'm sure that you are at this point, I wanted to make sure you didn't miss this headline on Slog. In linking to the Washington Post story, I wrote what I thought should have been the headline of their story. Europeans are leaving the church because, oh, look at the hypocrisy. Europeans don't care for being ordered around by cock-sucking hypocrites. Should have been the headline. Oh, poor Cardinal O'Brien. Someone needed to be the church's voice in the region, and he quite selflessly pulled the cock out of his mouth long enough to condemn gay marriage, and then bam, he's exposed as another closeted Catholic hypocrite. Sucks to be him, don't it? Doesn't suck so much to be Cardinal Mahoney, who is in Rome right now, despite having conspired, go to the LA Times, read the documents, conspired to cover up for and protect child rapists. That motherfucker's in Rome. That motherfucker is helping to pick the next motherfucking power-hungry, self-aggrandized bigot in the stupid fucking hat. Just had the Catholic out there for a second, because the Catholics have been coming for me this week on Twitter and in my email inbox, because Donahue put my email on his press release and encouraged his followers to tell me that I'm a cocksucker who's going to hell. Which I knew, and you knew, because you're a listener to my cocksucking show. One Catholic pro-life mom and blogger on Twitter noticed my headline about the Cardinal calling him a hypocrite and a cocksucker. Suzanne Fortin, who is at Rose Blue on Twitter, jumped down my throat and accused me of being an intolerant hater for insulting the Cardinal. And I pointed out that hypocrite is just a fact, and where I come from, cocksucker is not an insult. It actually recommends the guy where I come from. Suzanne and I kind of got in on Twitter for a while, and she claimed that Catholics are oppressed and gay people are not, and I pointed out that her marriage is legally recognized in all 50 states and mine is not. And she wrote, your marriage is based on sodomy, mine isn't, two totally different sexual acts. Which I thought was kind of bigoted. My marriage isn't sodomy-based, it's sodomy-enhanced. I feel sorry really for anyone whose marriage isn't sodomy enhanced. While it was nice to come to the attention of an obscure Catholic blogger on Twitter, what I really would like is another press release from my good friend Bill Donahue slapping me around for Europeans don't care for being ordered around by cocksucking hypocrites.